very briefly, SAT-7 is a satellite TV station, number 7. We were one of, sorry.
好明顯呢個 SAT-7 咧，其實就係講衛星傳播嘅7號衛星。
There are now 800 Arabic satellite channels.
而家咧大約有800個係中東嘅衛星轉播站。
But SAT-7 was one of the first, number 7.
而呢個 SAT-7 咧就係第7個，係開始嘅第7個。
And we have 5 channels, 24 hours a day.
我哋有5個頻道係24小時廣播嘅。
And we are actually covering all the Middle East, the North Africa, Asia, the Gulf, and Europe, as you can see on the screen behind me.
咁我哋喺屏幕上面可以見到咧，呢個衛星嘅轉播站係涵蓋住北邊嘅非洲、北非洲、阿拉伯地區同埋一啲歐洲嘅地方。
In these countries, it's not allowed to do mission work.
喺呢啲國家咧係宣教士係即係唔可以做宣教工作。
If any of you want to go to Iran or Saudi Arabia with Bibles,
如果我哋當中有人想帶本聖經入去伊朗或者係沙地阿拉伯嘅話
we may not see you again.
我哋就唔會再見到你哋㗎啦。
That even the local Christians of the region are not allowed to invite non-Christians in their churches.
甚至喺當地嘅基督徒都唔可以邀請一啲未信主嘅人去你嘅教會。
And we're talking about a population of 500 million people.
我哋而家講緊嘅咧就係大約有半億嘅人，即係5000萬人。
Who will probably never meet a Christian, never see a church, and never have a Bible.
佢哋從來都未見過基督徒，從來都冇見過教會，亦都冇擁有過一本聖經。
But through satellite TV, now 300 million can watch the Christian gospel in their own homes, 24 hours a day, in their own language.
而家有咗呢個衛星頻道嘅時候，就有300萬人能夠喺自己屋企裏邊，由電視機嗰度睇見呢啲節目。
So we can bring the love of Christ into the homes of the Middle East across the whole region.
喺呢一個地區，而家我哋可以將主耶穌基督嘅愛帶入去呢個地方。
A few words about the Middle East and North Africa.
嗱，我哋講一啲關於中東同埋北非洲嘅情況。
We are talking about 21 countries.
我哋而家所講嘅咧係21個國家。
And they may be quite different, but they have a few things in common.
佢哋或者會好唔同，但係有幾件事佢哋係差唔多一樣嘅。
First of all, the language.
首先，佢哋嘅語言。
19 countries speak Arabic.
有19個國家咧係講阿拉伯語。
It's only Iran where they speak Persian or Farsi.
只有伊朗啊係講波斯話。
And Turkey where they speak Turkish.
咁喺土耳其佢哋講土耳其語。
So in 3 languages you can reach out to the whole area.
所以只要3個語言就可以將整個地區遮蓋啦。
It's also an area where there is no religious freedom.
亦呢個地方咧，亦都係呢一個地區咧，亦都係冇宗教嘅自由。
You cannot change your religion.
你唔能夠改變你嘅信仰。
Christians cannot go out and witness on the streets.
基督徒係唔能夠出街向人講見證。
They can't even build a new church.
甚至唔可以起一間新嘅禮拜堂。
And they cannot give out the Bible to anyone outside the church.
喺教會之外，亦都唔可以送一本聖經俾人。
It's also an area where the population grows a lot.
而且呢個地方咧，佢哋嘅人口係增長得好快嘅。
As we are sitting here today, there will be another 30,000 added to the population.
好似我哋今日坐呢度，我哋仲要再加3萬多嘅人。
In a country like Egypt, that means that they have to build a new school and get teachers every 15 minutes.
喺特別而家我哋講埃及，如果我哋係每15分鐘咧就要起一間新嘅學校，又要揾新嘅老師。
It's also an area with very little democracy and justice and welfare.
而且喺呢個地區咧係冇乜嘢民主，亦都冇社會福利。
That's why we saw the revolutions, the Arabic Spring coming up some years ago.
就我哋見到幾年前有個阿拉伯之春喺呢個地方發生。
unfortunately, this revolution did not go well.
而且呢啲咁樣嘅革命運動並唔係嘅後果唔係好好。
And millions of young people who marched on the street got very disappointed.
喺街上面遊行嘅過百萬嘅年青人，其實佢哋事後係好失望。
And for the Christian minority, it was not a spring, it was a winter time.
對於基督徒嚟講，嗰個根本唔係春天，可以話係嚴峻嘅冬天。
They have been driven out of Iraq, of Syria, other countries.
佢哋由伊朗或者敍利亞被佢哋自己國家嘅人趕走。
It's also an area where there is a growing urbanization. People are moving from the rural area into the bigger cities.
而且喺呢個地區裏邊嘅人，佢哋嘅人口流動係好犀利嘅，係由嗰啲遠嘅地方移入去城市裏邊。
Cairo is designed to accommodate 2 million people.
本來開羅呢係即係可以容納200萬人。
But there's actually 22 million people living there.
咁而家有2200萬人住喺嗰度。
And there's a growing unemployment. There's hardly any jobs created in the Middle East.
更加係大家即係更加係失業，而且唔係有好多工作俾佢哋可以做。
And the majority of young people are unemployed.
大部分嘅年青人呢，佢哋係失業嘅。
And that's a vicious circle because without a job, you cannot get an apartment. Without an apartment, you cannot get a family, and so on.
而且呢個係一個惡性循環。當你冇工作嘅時候，你就冇居所；你冇居所嘅時候呢，你就唔能夠將自己嘅家庭帶入嚟。
It's also an area where women have very few rights, if any.
Sorry.
If any.
而且喺呢個地方呢，婦女係根本冇乜嘢人權嘅。
In many countries, they're not even allowed to go out. They're not, in some cases, they're not allowed to drive a car, and so on.
婦女喺呢個地方呢，係唔能夠離開自己家門，有啲地方呢，甚至係唔準揸架汽車。
A recent statistic showed that 95% of women are beaten in their homes by their husbands.
而好多個數據話俾我哋聽，大約有95%嘅婦女喺自己屋企裏邊係被自己屋企嘅人虐待。
And when this came out, the president said, "Show me these 5% who do not beat their wives. They must be very weak."
咁當呢啲數據出現嘅時候，佢哋嘅總統竟然間話：你話俾我聽嗰5%冇打老婆嘅嗰啲人喺邊度？佢哋一定係非常之軟弱嘅。
So this is the backdrop of the Middle East.
呢個就係中東嘅而家嘅即係好差嘅環境。
You may not have heard of any Christians in the Middle East.
或者你喺中東並冇聽見過一啲關於基督徒嘅事。
But actually, there are Christians in all countries of the Middle East.
但係喺中東每一個國家都有基督徒。
And the churches were very big in the old days. 喺
古老嘅時候咧，教會係好大嘅。
Like in Egypt, Egypt was a Christian country for 300 years.
好似埃及咁，埃及咧曾經係一個300年前係一個基督教國家。
And there were thousands of churches in Turkey and in Syria and in Iraq.
喺伊拉克、敍利亞同埋土耳其嗰度咧係有過百嘅教會喺裏邊。
Turkey was for 1,000 years the center of Christianity.
而土耳其咧係差唔多有1000年咁長嘅時間係基督教教義嘅中心。
Some of these churches are very old and can trace their roots back to Thomas and Mark and some of the first apostles. 呢啲教會嘅歷史呢，佢哋係好古老嘅，甚至我哋可以追翻去最初嘅教會，好似多馬，好似馬可佢哋嗰個時代。But since the last 1,300 years, they have been a minority and been under Islam.
由1300年嚟，佢哋漸漸變咗好衰微，而且係成為伊斯蘭國家。
Because Christians are mentioned in the Quran, they have been tolerated, but always as second-class citizens.
因為基督徒或者係基督教喺《可蘭經》裏邊係有提及過，咁所以基督徒或者基督教咧係屬於二等公民。
So they could still have their church services, but they could not build new churches, and they could not invite anyone outside the church to come in.
咁所以咧，佢哋係唔能夠起新嘅禮拜堂，又唔能夠邀請人哋入去基督教嘅教會裏邊。
And the sad news is that the church of the Middle East is really decreasing.
而我哋覺得好難過嘅就喺中東嘅教會其實係逐漸減少。
100 years ago, there were still 20% Christians in the Middle East.
20年 ,20 years ago.
No, 100 years ago, there were 20% Christians.
100年前大約喺中東仲有係人口20%係基督徒。
Now we're down to 4%.
而家我哋只有4%。
So it can easily be in our lifetime, Christianity will die out where it all started.
好可能喺我哋呢一生嘅時間會見到喺嗰個地方基督教係漸漸式微。
Every year, about 200,000 Christians are leaving Egypt. They don't see a future for them and for their children.
喺埃及嘅地方，我哋每一年都見到將近有20萬嘅基督徒離開埃及嘅地方，因為佢哋喺嗰度見唔到有未來。
15 years ago, there was 1.2 million Christians in Iraq. Now there are hardly any.
喺15年前，我哋仲見到150萬嘅基督徒喺伊拉克裏邊，但係而家我哋好難見到佢哋啦。
So it's high time that we do something about this. We can't wait any longer.
所以而家係一個關鍵嘅時候，我哋要做啲嘢㗎啦，我哋唔能夠再等。
The Christians get fewer and fewer, and they are under much discrimination and persecution.
基督徒係越來越少，而且佢哋係嚴重嘅被歧視。
And that's why SAT-7 was established about 20 years ago to give hope, to give the Christians a tool to witness to their neighbors, and also a wonderful opportunity for non-Christians to see in their own home what is Christ, what is the Bible, what is the Christian teaching.
所以20年前SAT-7 呢一個衛星嘅廣播就開始咗，係讓嗰個地方嘅人能夠見到有盼望，能夠認識基督，能夠俾佢哋嘅小朋友都有一個機會。
So we have united all the churches of the Middle East from all these countries to have one voice in the society. So we are also thereby showing the unity in the diversity of Christians.
咁所以喺呢個地方，我哋聯合咗所有嘅教會，讓我哋用同一把聲音係講同樣嘅説話。
So we got the first channel already 19 years ago. It's called SAT-7 Arabic.
所以喺19年前，我哋開始咗第一個廣播站係叫做 SAT-7 阿拉伯語。
And then we started a channel for Iran. It's called SAT-7 Pars, because in Iran they don't speak Arabic, they speak Farsi. So now we can cover Iran as well.
所以後尾咧就有SAT-7 嘅 Pars 呢一個咧係喺伊朗廣播，因為伊朗人咧係唔講阿拉伯文，佢哋係講波斯話。
And as I said, the Middle East is a fast-growing area. So actually, half of the population are under 21. So we saw a need for a channel for the children.
而喺中東呢個地方咧，人口嘅增長係非常之快，咁我哋就覺得應該有一個台係俾小朋友嘅。
So we launched SAT-7 Kids in 2007.
所以2007年我哋就開始咗SAT-7嘅小朋友台。
And actually, we were the first children's channel of all the Arabic stations.
所以我哋係第一個喺阿拉伯專門係俾小朋友廣播俾小朋友聽嘅台。
And SAT-7 Kids is most probably the most popular channel we have ever had.
咁所以話 SAT-7 嘅兒童電台咧，應該話係最受歡迎嘅台。
Then we were able to have a studio in Turkey, in Istanbul.
咁我哋又有一個台咧，係喺伊斯坦堡喺土耳其嗰度。
Turkey is next to Afghanistan, the country with the fewest number of Christians.
而土耳其咧，因為佢喺阿富汗旁邊，佢嗰個地方咧，阿富汗嗰度咧係最少基督徒嘅地方。
There are probably only about 10,000 out of 70 million.
喺700萬人口中，只有大約1萬嘅人係基督徒。
Yet we have been allowed and blessed to have a studio there, and we can broadcast 24 hours of Turkish program.
所以我哋好蒙福，我哋可以喺嗰度咧有一個台係用土耳其語嚟到廣播24小時。
And 4 years ago, we were able to start a new channel on another satellite, so we can reach into much more homes, especially in the Egyptian area. It's called SAT-7+.
所以喺11年嘅時候咧，我哋更加係能夠有另外一個台叫做 SAT-7+。咁我哋係喺埃及嗰度可以廣播入去人哋嘅屋企裏邊。
Can I ask you how many of you have called a TV station?
我哋當中有幾多人係有
I've written a letter to, yeah.
有寫過信去啲電視台嗰度，將你哋啲反應啊、意見啊回饋俾啲電視台㗎。
No one.
我哋冇過。
We don't do that.
我哋唔做過。
In the Middle East, very few can write a letter or can call anyone. Nevertheless, we get a lot of responses.
嗱喺中東嘅地方咧，亦都佢哋都唔可以寫信，又更加唔可以打電話。但係咧，我哋收到好多回應。
And I'll just show you someone. Maybe you can read that into your niece. It's from North Africa.
呢個咧係喺北非洲嚟嘅一個觀眾佢嘅回應。佢話咧：我係一個喺一個好隔涉地方嘅信徒，我只要能夠聽到一首基督徒嘅歌，或者電視台嗰度咧，就已經覺得自己非常之有福。佢話好多基督徒喺呢度咧都係好孤單嘅，只有自己一個人，因為佢哋都唔能夠接觸到其他嘅信徒。但係當我哋開咗 SAT-7呢個台嘅時候咧，我哋就能夠進入一個崇拜裏邊，而且我哋可以見到有啲其他嘅阿拉伯基督徒，呢個係一個北非嘅後生仔。
I think you can imagine if you were one of the only believers in a big city, it's very encouraging to know that there are other believers in other countries and other cities who don't feel alone and isolated. And this is exactly what this person is saying.
所以當你自己係唯一嘅一個信徒嘅時候，而你又發現原來你周邊有好多其他嘅信徒，對我哋嚟講咧，應該係非常之鼓舞，同埋咧會係好開心。
This is the skyline of the Middle East. Satellite dishes everywhere. They are cluttered. You can see the picture here. You can see even in the refugee camps, in the blue tents, everyone has a satellite dish.
如果我哋喺天上面望落嚟嘅時候咧，我哋會見到呢個地方嘅景象，就好多屋上面咧都有好多呢啲鑊仔，呢啲衛星天線。咁佢哋咧都係喺啲比較遠啲嘅地方嘅。
So satellite TV is the media of the Middle East.
所以喺中東咧，呢個衛星嘅天線咧，可以話係唯一嘅媒體，佢哋可以用到。
People don't read newspapers, they don't read books, they don't listen to shortwave radio, they watch television the whole day.
喺嗰個地方咧，佢哋啲人係唔睇報紙，又冇書睇，又唔會聽到有短波廣播，所以佢哋唯有睇電視。
And have in mind, women cannot go out, they can watch television.
而且咧喺嗰度嘅婦女係唔俾出街，咁佢就喺屋企睇電視。
Young men doesn't have a job, and they don't have a Starbucks, they watch television.
咁後生仔佢哋冇工作做，佢哋又去唔到 Starbucks， 咁佢哋喺屋企睇電視。
And kids, very often they don't have a school, and if they have a school, it's only a few hours, and it's dangerous to be out, so they watch television.
咁小朋友咧，佢哋有啲就冇返學，即使返學咧，都係得幾個鐘頭，咁所以佢哋就喺屋企睇電視啦。
And you know, men are lazy, so they also watch television.
而且咧，嗰度啲男人好懶，佢哋喺屋企睇電視。
So everyone is watching television, and sorry.
所以咧，係一個每個人都喺度睇電視。
And even the Bedouins, they now have a generator, a TV, and a satellite dish, and they go home at 5 o'clock because they want to see the latest episode of a soap opera.
咁佢哋喺嗰度咧，佢哋自己有發電機，佢哋可以發電，可以睇電視，所以咧佢哋喺外面返咗屋企咧都趕得切睇最後5點鐘嗰個片集。
I'm very happy and proud to say that SAT-7 is not an American or Korean or a Danish TV station. It's a truly Arab, indigenous TV station. So the programs are made by local people who understands the culture and the context.
我好開心嘅話咧，因為呢個SAT-7咧唔係一個美國嘅電視台，佢亦都係佢係自己本地嘅人用自己本國嘅説話嚟廣播嘅。
And we don't sell airtime to any televangelist. We design our programs ourselves, what is most relevant, appropriate, and appreciated by the viewers.
我哋咧就唔會we don't sell or
we don't sell airtime to.
我哋唔將我哋嘅廣播時間賣俾第二啲節目，我哋自己用呢啲時間 係用最恰當嘅、最能夠對觀眾有用嘅呢一啲節目。
Some Christian TV station is mostly preaching from the pulpit in some big church. We don't have that.
有啲電視節目咧，我哋見到係不停嘅喺嗰個講台上面講道，但係咧我哋唔係咁做。
We try to bring the Bible alive in many different aspects in a very attractive and also entertaining way. TV is about entertaining, and we have to respect that.
我哋咧就用好吸引人嘅好活潑嘅方法，因為睇電視咧其實係想揾一啲娛樂，咁所以咧我哋會用一啲好活潑嘅方法去廣播做我哋嘅節目。
And I'll show you a bit later a little video where you can see more about the segments that we have.
咁一陣間我俾大家睇下我哋做出嚟嘅節目。
SAT-7 Kids is, as I said, probably the most popular station we have.
頭先我哋話SAT-7嘅小朋友電台咧，應該話係最受歡迎嘅電台嚟㗎。
We have hired a company in Saudi Arabia to do telephone interviews in some countries.
我哋咧可以喺沙地阿拉伯嗰個地方用電話嚟到同人哋做一啲會談嘅節目。
And most people would not admit to someone on the phone that I watch a Christian TV station when someone calls from Saudi Arabia.
喺沙地阿拉伯，我哋有電話對話嘅時候咧，佢哋就唔會話我哋喺某某地方睇咗呢啲衛星轉播衛星嘅電視節目。So people are very suspicious. Saudi Arabia could be Al Qaeda. 因為咧，阿蓋達係喺沙地阿拉伯嘅，所以人人都非常之小心。
So most people will say, no, I don't watch any Christian TV station.
人人都對人人話，我從來都唔睇基督教嘅電台。
So the figures I'm giving you now is only those who admitted to someone on the phone, someone they don't know from Saudi Arabia, yes, I watch a Christian TV station in the Middle East.
所以我可以俾你哋睇到個數字咧，就係嗰啲夠膽承認自己喺沙地阿拉伯呢啲電話會話裏邊講到話，係啊，我係睇衛星嘅基督教嘅節目。
But the figures were so positive that we couldn't believe it. So we told them, can you do it again? This is, we can't come to Hong Kong and tell this.
呢啲數字咧，我哋係覺得非常之鼓舞嘅，所以我哋就同佢哋講，你可唔可以再講一次啊？但係喺香港咧，我哋就唔可以講俾人聽。
So they did the survey the second time and came up with the same results.
所以咧，我哋再次做調查，而嗰個結果係相同。
And the results are, in Iraq, 1 out of 3 children are watching SAT-7.
個結果咧就係喺伊拉克有3個小朋友中有1個咧就係睇呢啲電台嘅。
In Saudi Arabia, where there are no churches, where you cannot even bring your Bible in, 1 in 4 children are watching SAT-7 Kids.
喺沙地阿拉伯咧係冇教會，亦都唔能夠帶聖經入去，而我哋每4個小朋友有1個係睇呢個節目嘅。
Children are the future of the Middle East.
小朋友就係中東嘅希望。
And they are not born as terrorists.
佢哋唔係生出嚟就恐怖分子嘅。
They are born open-minded.
佢哋生出嚟嘅時候，佢哋係個好開放嘅思想。
And they love the inspiration and the messages of love and forgiveness, creativity and so on that they get on SAT-7 Kids.
所以佢哋係所睇到嘅咧就係愛，就係寬恕，係能夠彼此交流。
Most other TV stations in the Middle East are documenting the violence, the blood, the shellings, the bombings and so on. 喺
中東嗰個地方嘅紀錄片，佢哋所能夠見到嘅咧就係喺邊度開始有炸彈爆炸，喺邊度有屠殺啊，係呢啲咁暴力嘅節目嚟嘅。
They are showing an awful reality and a world without hope.
而佢哋喺嗰度嘅電視節目睇到嘅咧係一個冇希望嘅世界。
We want to give hope.
我哋想俾希望佢哋。
We want to encourage children to be good stewards and citizens and take care of their neighbors.
我哋想教導小朋友佢哋係愛鄰舍，係個好管家。
And here's a letter from a viewer in Libya.
呢個咧係一個利比亞嘅觀眾，佢寫嚟嘅信。佢話：我好多謝你為我哋嘅小朋友做嘅事。佢話：你已經好成功咁能夠贏到我哋嘅兒童嘅心。喺我嘅觀點嚟睇，呢啲先至係真正嘅成功。願上帝祝福你哋嘅付出，同埋願佢自己嘅名得榮耀。
We even have viewers in China.
甚至我哋喺中國咧都有觀眾嘅。年青人咧，佢話我個名叫做卡姆，我個妹妹叫做思文，我哋一齊住喺中國。我哋好開心，因為我哋今日收到你俾我哋嘅禮物係一本兒童聖經。我哋喺呢度係買唔到㗎，我好想自己可以睇晒佢。多謝你咁樣照顧我哋。我哋睇 SAT-7兒童嘅頻道係用Internet 用網絡嚟睇，因為我哋係冇法子喺呢度用電視睇到。願神保守你哋，亦都願你哋時時都將你哋嘅播音嘅廣播播喺我哋呢度，同埋有好多嘅禱告。多謝你，求你請你哋為我哋嘅祖國敍利亞祈禱，特別係阿勒普呢個地方。
We don't broadcast to China, but everything is on YouTube. So you can find a YouTube channel, and you can find hundreds or thousands of clips on YouTube about SAT-7.
我哋並冇向中國嗰度做廣播，但係咧，因為有 YouTube， 所以喺好多個地方都可以喺電腦裏邊喺網絡上面睇到呢一啲節目嘅。
So what we are doing is we are making the gospel available to anyone who wants to watch it. Most people, as I said, they will never find a church, never meet a Christian. But everyone can, in his own home, at a time when he likes, watch Christian television made in his own country, in his own language.
我哋係向每一個人嚟到廣播嘅，而呢啲人咧，佢哋所處嘅地方咧係冇教會，只要佢哋願意嘅時候，佢哋就可以聽見福音。
So we can at the same time encourage the lonely believers, the discriminated and persecuted Christians, and we can also make Christ known for all those who have never heard about him before.
所以我哋喺呢度，我哋願意嗰啲孤單嘅冇人同佢哋喺一齊嘅呢一啲嘅人，佢哋能夠聽見關於主耶穌基督嘅事。
There is a lot of propaganda against Christians in the Middle East.
喺中東呢個地方有好多嘅宣傳咧，都係惡意宣傳基督教。
They say that Christians are corrupted, that the Bible is corrupted.
佢哋話基督徒係好腐敗嘅，聖經裏邊所講嘅嘢都係好腐敗嘅。
They say we are cannibals because we have the communion.
佢話我哋係食人肉嘅族，因為聖經裏邊有講到主餐。
And very often the Christians cannot do anything about it. They don't have a voice.
好多時咧，基督徒係冇辦法為自己辯護，因為我哋係冇渠道去辯護。
But now we have SAT-7. Now we can explain what is going on in a church, what's going on in a communion. That Christians are not corrupted, that the Bible is not corrupted, and so on and so on.
咁而家咧，我哋喺呢啲電視節目裏邊可以解釋俾佢哋聽，到底主餐係乜嘢？我哋基督徒唔係一啲腐敗嘅人，聖經裏邊嘅説話唔係腐敗嘅。
There's no doubt that SAT-7 are changing thousands of lives in this part of the world.
所以話，好似頭先我講咁，喺呢一個地區，喺世界嘅呢一個地區，我哋改變緊上千嘅生命。
And we see that very clearly in Iran.
喺伊朗，我哋好清楚咁睇到。
In Iran, more than 100,000, we don't know the figures exactly, but hundreds of thousands are turning to Christ these years.
喺伊朗，我哋聽見嘅就係上千上萬嘅人，佢哋都歸向咗主耶穌基督。
Because of satellite TV.
就係因為有呢啲衛星電視廣播。
Because there is no churches, you cannot do mission work in Iran.
喺伊朗係冇教會、冇禮拜堂，而且唔可以做宣教嘅工作。
But now the gospel can go into every home.
而家福音係能夠進入每一個家庭。
And SAT-7 can also teach all the new believers and disciple them, because no church there to do that. So we can have the best Bible teachers making good programs on SAT-7 for the Iranians.
喺中東呢個地方，而家因為佢哋係冇教會，嗰啲初信嘅人咧，可以喺電視節目裏邊，我哋可以做門徒訓練，可以有好嘅節目俾佢哋去認識。